everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our podcast. I'm Sophia, and today we're diving into a topic that's incredibly useful for anyone looking to improve their English skills, learning English through your mobile phone. We all know that learning a new language can be challenging, but thanks to technology, it's more accessible than ever before.
That's right, Sophia. I'm Adam, and as someone who's still on the journey of improving my English, I can honestly say that my phone has been a game changer. Whether you're just getting started or looking to level up your skills, we'll be sharing some of the best tips, tools, and strategies to help you learn English on the go.
We'll explore different apps, talk about ways to practice speaking, reading, and listening, and share some practical advice on staying motivated. So if you've ever found yourself scrolling through your phone and wondering how to make better use of that time, this episode is for you.
Exactly. Grab your phone, plug in your earphones, and let's get into how you can make English learning a part of your everyday life with just a few taps on your screen.
Let's get started. Why learning English? Through a mobile phone is effective. So let's start by talking about why learning English through a mobile phone is so effective. First of all, the biggest advantage is convenience. You can literally carry your English lessons in your pocket and study whenever you have a few spare minutes. Whether you're on the train, waiting in line, or just relaxing at home, your phone is always with you, making it easy to fit learning into your daily routine.
Yeah, that's a huge plus for me. I used to think I didn't have time to study, but once I realized I could learn during my commute or while waiting for appointments, it completely changed my approach. It makes the process feel less like a chore and more like something I can do whenever I have a few minutes free.
Exactly. And what's also great is the variety of learning materials available. With a mobile phone, you're not stuck to one type of resource. You can access apps for grammar, watch English videos, listen to podcasts, play language learning games, or even practice speaking with real people through language exchange apps. This variety keeps things interesting, which is important for staying motivated.
Definitely. I switch between watching YouTube videos in English, doing vocabulary exercises on apps like Duolingo, and sometimes even practicing my pronunciation with AI-based apps. It's amazing how much content you can access with just your phone.
Another reason mobile learning is so effective is that many apps are designed to personalize your learning experience. Apps like Duolingo or Memrise track your progress and adapt the lessons to your current level. They can even remind you to study, which helps with consistency. You also get instant feedback, whether it's from a quiz or a pronunciation test, so you know where you need to improve.
Yeah, those reminders are really helpful. Plus, having everything in one place means I can monitor my progress and feel good about the small improvements I make every day. It's like having a personal tutor, but much more affordable.
Exactly, and affordability is another key factor. Many apps offer free versions or affordable subscriptions, so learning English on your phone can be much cheaper than traditional language classes. It's learning on your terms, affordable, flexible, and tailored to your needs.
And with the ability to practice anytime, anywhere, you don't need to dedicate hours at a time. You can learn in small bursts, which is great for building a habit. So really, there are no excuses not to start using your phone for language learning.
Absolutely! Learning English has never been more accessible, and the mobile phone is the perfect tool to help you take advantage of that. Types of mobile resources for learning English. Now that we've talked about the benefits of using a mobile phone for learning English, let's dive into the different types of resources available. There's really no shortage of options, and that can sometimes be overwhelming, so we're going to break it down into categories to help you figure out what works best for you.
Yeah, I remember when I first started, I didn't know where to begin because there were so many apps and platforms. Having some direction really helps. So, where do we start?
Let's start with the most obvious category, language learning apps. These are designed specifically for learning new languages. and they cover everything from vocabulary and grammar to speaking and listening. Some of the most popular ones include Duolingo, Babbel, Memrise, and Busuu. They make learning fun by turning lessons into games with points, levels, and daily goals. Duolingo, for example, has a lot of interactive exercises that keep you engaged while you're learning.
Yeah, I've used Duolingo a lot. It's great because it's so user-friendly, and the bite-sized lessons are perfect for quick practice throughout the day. Plus, the streaks and rewards give you that extra motivation to keep going.
Exactly. Another type of resource is flashcard apps like Anki or Quizlet. These are fantastic for building and reinforcing vocabulary. What's great about these apps is that they use spaced repetition, so you're more likely to remember the words long-term by reviewing them at optimal intervals.
I found Anki to be really helpful, especially when I want to focus on specific words or phrases that I struggle with. Plus, you can create your own flashcards or download decks that other users have shared, which is really convenient.
Absolutely, and they're perfect for short bursts of study. Now, for those who want more structured learning, there are online course platforms like Coursera, edX, and Udemy. These platforms offer full English courses taught by professional instructors. You can find courses that focus on grammar, writing, or even business English. Many of them are free or have free versions, but they also offer paid certificates if you want something more official.
That's a good point, especially for people who might need to learn English for work or academic purposes. The structure of these courses can really help you stay on track.
Another great resource is language exchange apps like HelloTalk, Tandem, or Speaky. These apps connect you with native speakers of English who want to learn your language. You can have real conversations through text, voice, or even video, which helps you improve your speaking and listening skills while making friends from around the world.
Yeah, I've used HelloTalk a few times. It's a bit nerve-wracking at first, but it's such a good way to practice speaking with real people. And because you're helping them learn your language, it's a win-win.
Exactly. Speaking practice is key to becoming fluent, and apps like these make it possible to do that without even leaving your home. For listening skills, I recommend using podcasts or YouTube. There are tons of English learning channels like BBC Learning English, English Class 101, or even TED Talks. Podcasts in particular are great because you can listen to them while doing other things like commuting or exercising.
Yeah, I love listening to English podcasts when I'm walking or cooking. It's a great way to immerse yourself in the language without feeling like you're studying.
Exactly. And don't forget about social media. Following English-speaking influencers, YouTubers, or Instagram pages focused on language learning can also be very helpful. You can get exposed to everyday English and learn slang or idiomatic expressions that you might not find in traditional courses.
I think it's amazing how social media can help with language learning. You get to see how English is used in real life, and it's easy to pick up on casual expressions and phrases.
Totally. Lastly, you can also make use of news apps or reading platforms like Medium or Flipboard. These apps allow you to read articles in English on topics you're interested in, which helps improve your reading comprehension and keeps you updated on current events at the same time.
Yeah, I've been reading English news more often lately, and it's really improved my reading speed and understanding. Plus, it gives me more conversation topics when I'm chatting with others.
Exactly. So as you can see, there's a wide range of resources available, whether you're looking to improve your vocabulary, grammar, speaking, listening, or reading. The key is to mix and match these resources based on your needs and interests.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to experiment with different apps or methods until you find what works best for you. The more varied your resources, the more well-rounded your learning will be.
Exactly. And the best part is, all of these resources are accessible through your mobile phone, so you can learn whenever and wherever it's convenient for you. All right, now that we've covered the types of resources, let's talk about learning strategies. Having the right tools is great, but without a solid plan, it's easy to get overwhelmed or lose consistency. Mobile phones make learning flexible, but you still need to be intentional with how you use them.
Yeah, I've been guilty of downloading several apps and not sticking to any one of them for long. It can get confusing if you don't have a proper strategy.
Exactly. So, one of the first strategies I recommend is setting clear, achievable goals. Instead of just telling yourself, I'll learn English today, break it down into smaller, more manageable tasks. For example, aim to learn 10 new words a day or complete one Duolingo lesson. Having specific targets makes it easier to track progress and stay motivated.
That's a good point. I used to say, I'll practice for an hour, but it was too vague. Now I make it more actionable, like I'll do 20 minutes of listening and 10 minutes of vocabulary practice. That structure helps a lot.
Exactly. Another great strategy is using the chunking method, where you learn language in small, digestible pieces. This is especially useful on mobile because you can quickly review a few phrases or vocabulary words when you have just a few minutes to spare. Flashcard apps like Anki are great for this, as they allow you to practice small bits of language regularly.
Yeah, I've been using Anki more consistently, and it's amazing how just 5 minutes here and there can add up. I usually review flashcards while waiting for the bus or during short breaks.
Exactly. And that brings me to another strategy: spaced repetition. Apps like Anki and Quizlet use this technique, which is scientifically proven to help retain information better over time. They show you new words and phrases at increasingly spaced intervals, ensuring that you don't forget them. This way, you're reviewing at just the right time before the memory starts to fade.
That's one of the things I love about these apps. You don't waste time reviewing things you already know well, and instead focus on the areas that need improvement.
Right. Another powerful strategy is active listening and shadowing. Active listening means paying full attention to what you hear, whether it's a podcast, video, or conversation, while taking notes or trying to understand the context. After listening, you can practice shadowing, where you repeat what you've heard out loud, imitating the speaker's tone, pace, and accent. This technique helps you improve both comprehension and speaking skills.
I've been trying shadowing, and it's really challenging at first, but you start noticing improvements in how naturally you speak. I usually do this with podcasts, listening to one sentence, pausing, and then repeating it. It feels like real practice.
Exactly, and it really helps with pronunciation and fluency over time. Another strategy is to immerse yourself in English as much as possible, which is easier than ever with mobile phones. Change the language settings on your phone to English, follow English-speaking influencers, and watch English content on YouTube or Netflix with subtitles. The goal is to surround yourself with English in your everyday life, even when you're not actively studying.
That's a great tip. Changing my phone's language settings helped me get used to everyday terms in English, like when I'm navigating apps or reading notifications.
Exactly. Immersion doesn't have to be something formal. You can integrate it into your daily routine without feeling like you're sitting down for a traditional lesson. Another strategy is to make use of voice recording apps on your phone to practice speaking. Record yourself reading a passage, then play it back to check your pronunciation. You can even compare it to a native speaker's recording to spot differences and improve.
I've tried that too, and it's really helpful. When I listen to myself, I can hear areas I need to work on. Sometimes I'll even record myself, trying to summarize something I just read or watched to practice thinking in English.
That's a great idea. Finally, one last strategy is to schedule consistent study times and use mobile reminders to stay on track. It's easy to get distracted on your phone, so set reminders to practice at the same time each day. Even just 10 to 15 minutes of focused learning per day can add up to big improvements over time.
Yeah, it's amazing how consistent, small efforts can lead to significant progress. I set a daily reminder to practice right before bed, which works well because it's become part of my routine.
That's perfect. Consistency is really the key. And remember, learning on a mobile phone gives you the freedom to be flexible, but it also requires self-discipline to avoid distractions. So having clear goals, using the right strategies, and sticking to a routine will help you maximize your learning potential.
Exactly. And the best part is, you can tailor these strategies to your lifestyle and learning preferences, making the process feel more personal and enjoyable.
Exactly, and that's the beauty of mobile learning. You can make it work for you in whatever way suits you best. So, Adam, we've talked about all the benefits and strategies for learning English with a mobile phone. But let's be real, there are also some challenges that come with it. It's important to address these so that listeners don't feel discouraged if they hit a few bumps along the way.
Definitely. I've faced my share of challenges too. One of the big ones for me has been distractions. Mobile phones are great learning tools, but they're also packed with distractions. Social media, messages, games, and notifications constantly fighting for your attention.
Exactly. That's one of the most common challenges. You sit down to study for 10 minutes, and before you know it, you've spent an hour scrolling through Instagram. To overcome this, it's helpful to use focus or productivity apps like Forest or Stay Focused that block distractions. You can also put your phone in Do Not Disturb mode or even disable notifications while you're studying.
Yeah, I've tried using Do Not Disturb mode, and it really helps. I also use timers. I set a 20-minute timer for focused study, and during that time, I don't allow myself to open any other apps. Once the timer goes off, I can take a quick break.
Timers are a great idea. Another common challenge is lack of structure. Since mobile learning is often self-paced, it's easy to feel lost without a clear path or lesson plan. Many people download a bunch of apps and don't know where to start or how to progress.
That was me at the beginning. I had so many apps, but I wasn't really following any kind of structured plan, so I didn't feel like I was making progress.
To fix that, try to create a learning schedule or follow a structured course that outlines what you should be focusing on. Many apps like Duolingo and Babbel have guided courses that take you step by step. Another option is to set personal goals, like learn 10 new words each day or complete one lesson per week to give yourself direction.
That makes sense. Having a clear plan really helps you stay on track and gives you a sense of progress.
Exactly. Another challenge is the lack of speaking practice. Many mobile resources focus heavily on reading, listening, or writing, but speaking practice can be limited, which makes it harder to build fluency.
Yeah, I noticed that too. You can learn a lot of grammar and vocabulary, but if you don't practice speaking, it's hard to become conversational.
That's where it helps to supplement your learning with speaking apps like HelloTalk or Tandem, where you can actually converse with native speakers. If you feel shy or unsure, you can start by using voice recording apps to practice speaking on your own. This way, you can build confidence before speaking with others.
I've done that, and it makes a big difference. When you practice speaking regularly, even if it's just recording yourself, you feel more prepared when you do have a conversation.
Exactly. Another challenge people face is the lack of motivation over time. The flexibility of mobile learning is great, but without accountability, it's easy to skip a day, then two, and eventually fall out of the habit.
Yeah, that's a real issue. I found that sometimes it's hard to stay motivated, especially if you don't see immediate results.
To combat that, try using streaks and reward systems built into apps like Duolingo, where you can track your daily progress. Joining online communities or study groups can also help because you have a group of people encouraging you and holding you accountable. You can even challenge friends to learn with you to add a bit of friendly competition.
That's a great idea. Learning with friends or being part of a community can definitely help you stay motivated.
Exactly. Finally, there's the challenge of over-reliance on mobile learning. While learning through your phone is convenient, it's important to mix it with other methods like reading books, writing by hand, or even attending language classes if possible.
That's true. I sometimes forget that learning a language is more than just using apps. It's about balancing different types of learning.
Exactly. Think of mobile learning as just one tool in your toolbox. Make sure to balance it with real-world practice and other forms of learning to become a well-rounded English speaker.
That makes a lot of sense. It's all about balance and variety in how you learn.
Right. So, while learning English on a mobile phone comes with its own set of challenges, there are plenty of ways to overcome them. It's all about being mindful of the obstacles, staying consistent, and using your phone in a way that truly benefits your learning journey.
Exactly. If you can recognize these challenges and put strategies in place to deal with them, you'll be on your way to making the most out of learning English with your mobile.
Absolutely. With the right mindset and tools, those challenges won't hold you back from reaching your goals. Now that we've talked about the resources, strategies, and challenges, let's move on to something practical: how to test your learning progress and make sure you're getting the most out of your mobile learning experience. It's important to regularly assess how far you've come so you can adjust your methods and stay motivated.
Exactly. Testing yourself is key to knowing where you stand and what areas need improvement. But what kind of practical tests can we do using our phones?
Great question. Let's start with some simple but effective methods. First up, we have self-quizzes. Many language learning apps, like Duolingo or Babbel, have built-in quizzes that test your vocabulary, grammar, and sentence structure. Set aside time every week to take these quizzes and track your score. Over time, you should see gradual improvement.
Yeah, I find those quizzes helpful because they give you immediate feedback. And if you get something wrong, you can instantly review the concept.
Exactly. And speaking of reviewing concepts, you can also create your own flashcard tests using apps like Anki or Quizlet. Test yourself on the vocabulary you've learned by reviewing these flashcards daily. You can even mix things up by creating specific flashcard decks for things like phrasal verbs or idioms.
I use Quizlet a lot for this. It's a great way to drill vocabulary, and you can even compete with yourself by trying to beat your previous scores.
Another practical test is using language exchange apps like HelloTalk or Tandem for conversation tests. Set a goal to have at least one conversation per week with a native speaker or fellow learner. You can track how well you're able to keep up with the conversation, ask questions, and express yourself. Afterward, reflect on what you found easy or difficult.
I've done this a few times, and it's a great way to really put what you've learned into practice. It's one thing to know grammar and vocabulary, but another to use them in real conversations.
Exactly. Real-life conversations are one of the best ways to test your progress. And here's another idea. Test your listening comprehension by watching a short YouTube video or listening to a podcast in English. Before you begin, write down 3 to 5 questions you'd like to answer by the end of the video. Once you've finished, see how well you understood the content by trying to answer your questions.
That's a great tip. It forces you to pay close attention while listening, and it really tests your comprehension.
Exactly. Another practical test is to challenge yourself with a writing task. For example, you could set a timer for 10 minutes and write a short essay or story in English on a specific topic. Once you've written it, use tools like Grammarly or Pro Writing Aid to check for grammar mistakes. This way, you'll get immediate feedback on your writing.
I love that idea. It's like testing your ability to express your thoughts clearly, and you also get to practice grammar in a natural way.
Exactly. And it's also a great way to track your progress over time. You could even keep a digital journal or blog in English to see how your writing improves from week to week. Another practical test is to record yourself speaking. You can either describe your day, summarize something you've read, or even practice answering common questions, like you're in an English-speaking interview. Then listen to the recording and check for clarity, fluency, and pronunciation.
That's something I need to do more often. It's one thing to think you sound good in your head, but when you listen to the recording, you really notice what needs work.
Exactly. Listening to yourself speak is like holding up a mirror to your language skills. It shows you where you need to improve, whether it's your pronunciation, speed, or fluency. Another method you can try is reading comprehension tests. Pick an article or short story in English. There are plenty available online or through apps like Medium or BBC Learning English. And after reading, summarize it in your own words. This helps ensure that you're not just passively reading, but actively understanding the content.
That's a really practical way to gauge your reading skills. I think summarizing forces you to understand the main ideas rather than just recognizing words.
Exactly. And here's one more test idea: language challenges. Join an online challenge or create one for yourself, like speak only in English for a day, or write 200 words in English every day for a week. These kinds of challenges push you out of your comfort zone and help you stay consistent.
I love the idea of language challenges. It would definitely keep me motivated to hit small, achievable goals.
Exactly. And as you progress, you can gradually increase the difficulty of these challenges. Testing your skills regularly in different ways ensures that you're constantly improving and identifying weak spots.
Yeah, and by mixing up these different types of tests, whether it's speaking, listening, writing, or reading, you're covering all the bases and becoming a more well-rounded English speaker.
Exactly. And the beauty of mobile learning is that all these practical tests are just a few taps away. It's about taking advantage of all these resources to make sure you're not just passively learning, but actively improving.
Absolutely. These tests keep you accountable and give you clear proof of your progress.
Exactly. So whether it's through quizzes, conversation practice, writing tasks, or recording yourself, these practical tests will help you make the most of your mobile learning experience and keep you moving forward in your English journey. Now, Adam, we've covered a lot of ground: learning strategies, overcoming challenges, and testing your progress. But none of this works unless you stay consistent and motivated, right? Let's talk about how to maintain that drive, because learning a language is a long-term journey.
Absolutely. Staying consistent is one of the hardest parts for me. It's easy to start strong, but after a few weeks or months, motivation can drop. How do we keep that fire going?
That's a great question, and it's something a lot of learners struggle with. The first tip I'd give is to set realistic goals. It's tempting to say, I want to be fluent in 6 months, but that can be overwhelming. Instead, break it down. Focus on something achievable like learn 10 new words a day or watch 1 English video a week. When you hit those small goals, it builds momentum and keeps you going.
Yeah, I used to make these huge goals and then get discouraged when I didn't reach them. Breaking it down makes a lot more sense.
Exactly. Small, consistent wins keep you motivated because you feel like you're making progress, even if it's step by step. Another strategy is to track your progress. Use apps like Duolingo or Anki that show streaks or progress reports. Seeing how far you've come, even over just a week, can really boost your motivation.
I love the streak feature in Duolingo. It makes me want to keep going because I don't want to break that streak.
Exactly. That little push can make a huge difference. Another thing that helps is personalizing your learning. If you're learning topics that interest you, you'll naturally be more engaged. For example, if you're into sports, focus on reading or watching videos about sports in English. It makes learning feel less like a chore and more like something fun.
That's a good point. I found that I stick with it longer when I'm reading or listening to something I actually enjoy, rather than just following a textbook.
Exactly. And this leads into my next tip. Reward yourself. Every time you hit a milestone, whether it's completing a course, mastering a set of vocabulary, or having your first conversation in English, celebrate it. It could be something simple, like watching your favorite show in English or treating yourself to something you enjoy.
That's a good idea. Sometimes we forget to appreciate the small victories, but they're just as important as the big ones.
Absolutely. Celebrating your progress keeps you excited about what's next. Another way to stay motivated is by mixing up your learning routine. If you always do the same type of lesson or follow the same app, it can get boring. Try switching between different learning methods. Some days focus on listening, other days on reading, and throw in some speaking practice here and there. Variety keeps things fresh.
I've noticed that when I get bored with one app, switching to another keeps me engaged. Variety really does help.
Exactly. Another big motivator is having a study buddy or joining a community. When you're learning with someone else, it makes you accountable. You don't want to fall behind. There are plenty of online communities for English learners where you can share your progress, ask questions, and even compete with each other. It makes the whole experience more social and fun.
That's true. I've joined a few Facebook groups for English learners, and just seeing other people's progress inspires me to keep going.
That's the power of community. It turns learning into something more dynamic and shared. Another key to staying consistent is to make learning part of your daily routine. Like we mentioned earlier, even just 10 to 15 minutes a day can make a big difference. If you make it a habit, like brushing your teeth or checking your phone, it becomes automatic.
I've started doing that, making sure I practice every night before bed. It's now part of my routine and it feels strange if I don't do it.
That's the goal. Consistency over time beats intensity in the short term. Even if you don't feel like you're making huge strides every day, those small daily efforts really add up. Lastly, one of the best motivators is to remind yourself why you're learning English in the first place. What's your big why? Maybe you want to travel, advance your career, or connect with new people. Keeping your end goal in mind helps push through the tough days.
That's so true. On days when I don't feel like studying, I remind myself that learning English will open up so many opportunities for me. That keeps me going.
Exactly. When you connect your learning to a bigger purpose, it becomes much easier to stay motivated. Whether it's for personal growth, career advancement, or something else, having that reason fuels your drive.
Yeah, it's about thinking long term and knowing that each small effort brings you closer to that goal.
Absolutely. So, to summarize, staying consistent and motivated comes down to setting realistic goals, tracking your progress, rewarding yourself, and keeping the process fun and engaging. Surround yourself with people who encourage you, mix up your learning methods, and always keep your why in mind.
Yeah, I feel like with these tips I'm ready to stay on track and really commit to improving my English. It's all about staying motivated and consistent.
Exactly, Adam. With the right mindset and these strategies in place, you'll not only stay motivated but also enjoy the journey of learning English through your mobile. Every day you're getting closer to your goal. Well, Adam, I think we've covered everything from strategies, challenges, tests, and how to stay motivated while learning English through your mobile phone.
Absolutely. We've really gone deep into all the key points. I'm sure this will be super helpful for anyone looking to improve their English.
Absolutely. And before we wrap up, I just want to remind everyone that consistency, and staying motivated are key to making real progress. We hope this conversation has given you some valuable insights into how to effectively learn English with your mobile phone.
Couldn't agree more. It's all about taking small steps every day and sticking to the process. We really appreciate you all for watching and supporting the channel.
Yes, thank you so much. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content.
Until next time, brothers, stay focused and keep learning.
Thank you.